I welcome you all to the new session on secularism. The varieties of secular experiences in the Indian context. Secularism briefly means the withdrawal of religion from the public realm like social interaction, state, bureaucracy, etc. The process is called secularization. The word secularization emerged from the Latin word saculum. It means century or age. The idea of secularism can only be understood along with the historical analysis of medieval Europe. Four important social changes took place before the emergence of secularism as a philosophy. Two of them are the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution, were sudden changes in European social organization, including changes in the power structure, production relation. The other was its obvious complex reflection on social interaction in thinking, art, literature, theatre, architecture, etc. That is French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, Enlightenment and Renaissance. In the early European social organization, church was intertwined with the state, economy, social control and the majority of other societal parts. Power was located in church and its aristocracy. Church, aristocrats and noblemen controlled the taxing and confiscatory mechanism and held the resources such as land. Before describing what secularism is, it is important to have an analysis on the above historical epochs. The French Revolution was a radical social movement that restructured the power relation of society. It was a violent social movement against the feudal social stratification of then France, led by the peasants and commoners. The power located in the church, king, clergy and nobles were captured by the peasants and commoners and formed a new state. The Industrial Revolution was entirely different in this sense, which predominantly thwarted the production relation. New scientific endeavors like the invention of the motor and the steam engine changed the production relation, which brought sudden changes in the economy. A huge amount of surplus was produced and mobilized in a minority. The common people without technology were exploited like a cog in the machine. These social changes brought about changes in the arts, literature and various other creative activities including architecture. Romanticism was shifted to humanism, which reflected more materialistic realities of the world and people's problems. The question of justice was raised in all these fields. These social changes altogether questioned the existing notion of how the order of the world is. A question was raised over if this can be studied. Has this order ever changed? Is there any possibility that this order can be changed? These questions were radical in the sense that the world has understood as God-given. So, questioning its existence was made taboo. Asking if the world can be restructured was negating the existence of divine authority. You might have heard about the scrutiny Nicolas Copernicus and Galileo Galilei have gone through by the church for discovering that Earth moves around the sun. Similarly, Isaac Newton, who found the theory of gravity and energy, was criticized. Charles Darwin's work, Origin of Species, which asserted the theory of evolution and natural selection, was banned. So, secularism was developed in another sense as a reaction to these power exercises by the state in Europe. Let's move to the dimensions of early social philosophers now. The withdrawal of religion from the public realm was visible in most of the classical sociological works. Before that, there were also several social philosophers like Condorcet, Saint-Simon and Montesquieu who put forward similar ideas before classical sociologists. These early social philosophers were different from the classical sociologists because of the absence of a systematic approach in their theoretical orientation. Most of it was metaphysical speculation, intuition and logical analysis with the absence of sensual observation, measurement and analysis. Montesquieu's The Spirit of Law and Theory of Separation of Power was very crucial in this sense. He attributed that the state should be free from all other influences. He classified different kinds of governments on the narrow order of extending citizenship rights in the respective order: democratic republics, aristocratic republics, monarchic republics, and despotic republics. Democratic republics were the one in which citizens had rights, and monarchic and despotic republics were the least. He argued that political power should be distributed over legislature, executive, and judiciary rather than centralizing power over a monarch or king. Condorcet directly argued the state should be devoid of religion. He thought that religion matters subjectively. His idea of the state was liberal, rational, and based on democracy with constitutional strength. Saint Simon had a different opinion about social organization from other social philosophers regarding the involvement of religion in the state. Saint Simon focused on the distribution of means of production. He was the first of the philosophers who named sociology social physics. He also believed that society works like nature with underlying principles and laws. So he thought these laws can be found out using the method of physical science. All these figures were similar in their insight into the nature of social world. They believed that the social world is also evolving according to uniform, universal laws which can be discovered. They also believed that society should have a common authority like the state or government to keep the social order intact, which should be neutral and free from traditional authority structures. Now we move to classical sociologists. Auguste Comte. Comte described the evolution of human society according to the mode of acquiring knowledge and the consciousness of the individuals. He asserted that history developed to new stages according to the mode of knowledge production and individual consciousness. According to him, society evolved similarly to the evolution of the consciousness of an individual. According to him, the first stage of society was the theological stage, in which the process of knowledge production assumed God is behind all the phenomena in the world. They gave supernatural explanations for every phenomenon. The theological stage itself evolved according to the nature of the belief system prevalent in the society in the respective order: fetishism, animism, polytheism, and monotheism. Then evolved the metaphysical stage with the power of reasoning. Finally developed the positive stage depends completely on reasoning and rationality. These are not only based on the belief system as per Comte, rather it was a whole nature of social organization at then. Now we move to Herbert Spencer. He defined the evolution of society according to Charles Darwin's law of natural selection and struggle for existence. Spencer's organismic analogy was in a sense focused on the gradual evolution of society to a more complex one characterized by the differentiation of societal structures. The differentiation of societal parts resulted in the formation of functionally specific structures. The concept also rejects the idea of the predominance of religion and tradition in society. The function of religion can be differentiated into new societal parts which may result in the formation of new functions. Now we move to Emile Durkheim. Durkheim compared the evolution of societies according to the nature of division of labor and social solidarity. Social solidarity was the nature of cooperative, cohesive interaction of members of society. The classification was into mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity. Mechanical solidarity reflected the traditional religious involvement in the society in which members cannot deviate from the collectivity. Organic solidarity reflected the modern society with the possibility of individual deviance from collectivity and creativity with limited involvement of religion. Max Weber. Max Weber more precisely denoted rationalization. His concept was members of society act according to the rational goal they possibly try to acquire. He thought that members of the society were influenced by the macro order like traditional norms, values, and institutions. Though individuals gain knowledge about the limited possibilities of deviance and can act accordingly, he accepts the freedom of the individual from the traditional consigns. Hence, there is a presence of independent consciousness. There is a common pattern of assumption in all the classical sociologists that society evolves from traditional to modern in all the aspects of social organization. For example, norms, values, and institutions. The founders assumed this transition was desirable or positive. It altogether resulted in developing policies such as the rejection of religion from the public realm as something positive in later period. Since the theoretical orientations of modernity were focused on criticizing the involvement of the church in state matters in Europe, the idea of secularism also reflected this idea. Though the idea of secularism in India was influenced by European literature, the situation has to be analyzed differently. Let's move to Indian experience specifically. According to Ravindra Kumar, the Indian situation primarily assesses that there were mainly three schools of secularism. Polities trying to undermine religious values and institutions, against it polities which stands in position of neutrality towards it. There is one more school of secularism that falls in between these two. Let's explain the Hindu social order. After this classification, Ravindra Kumar compares the Indian Hindu social units such as villages and small towns to an agrarian feudal social structure. He identifies that Indian society is primarily two-tiered, which later evolved to a single stratum of peasants and cultivators in the majority of North Indian states, except Kerala where it was three-tiered. The political power in the congregation of villages was located in superior landlords. The villages were economically self-sufficient according to Kumar. The federation of these zamindars were acting as bureaucracies that functioned for tax collection with the help of armies. The strength of these polities rested on the bureaucracies and armies. The focus point of the economy and the social organization was towns called Kasbah. A few superior zamindars resided there in Kasbah. These towns acted as market and bureaucratic centers. There were also petty money lenders in the town that extended their credits to zamindars. The tax money and a part of agricultural produce flowed to the township through villages. There was tension between the bureaucrats and superior zamindars. The existence of this bureaucratic machinery in the Kasbah reflected the nature of the locality and its relationship with the larger whole. After the analysis of the Hindu social organization, Ravindra Kumar moves to analyze the Muslim community. He philosophically understands that Muslims follow Ummah all around the world, but he is sure of the differences in the community in the country. In India, Muslim community have two lineages. The first one is from the South Indian coastal trade relationship with the Arabia, and the other is from the Muslim invaders from Central Asia and Afghanistan. The settlers resided in the Indo-Gangetic plain. There were conversions from the peasant communities to Muslim community, which was majorly from the artisan and craftsman communities. The noble class of the community had the major share of the social and economical power and was close to religious orthodoxy, which invariably escalated the status of the noble class. The artisans and craftsmen were separated from this dominant group and were ascribed lowly status. The lowly status groups continued folk cultures reflecting their indigenous nature. There were multiple Muslim identities in India, and a homogeneous social group varied in wealth, status, and sensibility. In the British colonization, India underwent drastic changes regarding land relations, administration, trade, etc. There was trade exploitation, an oppressive tax system, centralized system of political power. The land and tax policy changes made the zamindars attracted to the British administration. The administration executed Ratwari Mahalwari system. By these changes, the land was settled over the village zamindars and they were controlled by centralized bureaucracies. It, together with the British capitalist interests in India, resulted in the erosion of traditional solidarities and increased economic activities on rational grounds. This was due to the rejuvenating effect of British colonialism in the trade and industrial sector. Rational calculations and profit-oriented exchanges were prevalent. This affected the intellectual arena also. We should understand that though these changes were visible in India, the base order of Indian society as a caste system was untouched by the colonials. Let's move to secular plural theory. Ravindra thinks that social changes that took place in India are important as the medieval European social changes while analyzing the secular theory. It is during the above historical nationalistic shift that India had its important secular regime, which was based on plural theory. This nationalist secularism put forward the idea religion should be divorced from the political scene. It believed that religion is only a matter of private belief of the members of the society. These theoretical ideas were very well influenced by European modernity. But these nationalist secular ideologies only influenced the upper class elites who could afford modern English education in India. This kind of nationalist idea suffered such problems. These limitations held a possibility for the growth of a new kind of nationalism that rested upon religious symbols. This orthodox plural theory was championed by Gandhi, who picked religious symbols to bring about a pan-national Indian identity. Gandhi believed that mobilizing the larger masses on basis of the religious and cultural symbols, which is integral to Hindus and Muslims, could help the national struggle. He believed that the common struggle may lead to an overreaching national identity. Gandhi was in some sense sentimental about the link between religion and politics, which invariably resulted in orthodox plural theory becoming contradictory to it. But it certainly influenced larger masses for social action against the government of British India. The orthodox secularism resulted in something else. British government was successful in increasing the gulf between different communities. After 1947, it grew large into communitarian politics. It reflected class interests. The nationalist movement also addressed these policy interests of the rich and the powerful. The common people assumed that the powerful were seeing a powerful position in the leadership. This resulted in the emergence of new class of secularism based on socialism, which was driven by the aspirations of the poor. This also rejected the religious loyalties in the political process. It was based on the material social welfare of the poor. This view of secularism was similar to the prior plural secularism theory. They worked for the redistribution of property and power that lacks it socially. This view was developed in and outside of Indian National Congress, but it could not grow among common people as did Congress. The influence of Gandhi was in the air then. There were two reasons for this. Primarily, Gandhi's philosophy was based on religiosity. Secondly, Gandhi did not question the powerful classes over their hold of the lion's share of ancestral wealth. India is largely fragmented into multiple localities and regions. This has always been a resistance to the nationalist interest to shape it into a single identity. It should keep in mind that Ravindra Kumar's analysis omits various varieties of secular experiences like Ambedkar and Periyar, etc. Ambedkar and Periyar had primarily different opinions on religion from all others in the Indian arena. Periyar believed that religion inherently produced social inequalities. But Ambedkar was different from this opinion that religion can act as moral support and it can be optimistic for the betterment of society. But Ambedkar did not support the religion involved in state matters. He was also critical of the Hindu religion and its philosophies since it produced social inequalities. Ambedkar and Periyar believed the state should intervene in religious matters for the betterment of society. Rather than the state taking distance from religion, they believed that the state should take action on the distribution of power and property in society. The secular stream of Ambedkar and Periyar was distinct in all these senses. Thank you all.